When I think back, I can still remember certain formative experiences I had when I was around age 10. For instance, I was then maybe in fourth grade, and it was the end of the lunchtime period at school. And the principal would come in and turn the lights off and tell everyone to put his or her head down on the lunch table. It would be very dark. Body would be relaxed. Head would be off to one side. And the eyes would be closed. And I had no idea of my age, my gender, my physical form. On the inside, as it were, I had no concepts, nor did I need any. I just relaxed into this sense of being myself. And right now, isn't it quite astonishing that the sense of being myself is the same today as it was 35 years ago? I invite you now to call forth an equally formative experience, perhaps from your childhood or perhaps from 10 days ago, a time when you felt free of care, concern, worry, when there seemed to be just a deep relaxation into this. What was that like? How natural and fresh, innocent and easy was it? Can you taste it now? Can you take away then all the images that you have and simply be awarely here? Can you let all the memories, all the experiences go and simply be awarely present? If you can, then isn't it equally amazing that, notwithstanding all the changes that have occurred over the course of this life, this unnameable something, this sense of being myself, perhaps has not changed a bit. I don't notice any changes between the 10-year-olds diving into himself and the 45-year-olds just being here. Or can't you see that this sense of being yourself, of being you are, i.e., I am, is ageless, faceless, nameless, untouchable, inaudible, almost indescribable, or perhaps, yes, actually indescribable, and awesomely immediate, completely self-evident. It really is something that the body has undergone changes. Use your imagination or your memory to understand the ways in which the physical form, the physical body has changed over the course of time. Allow any vivid images or memories to be called forth. You might say that the body has grown or that it has gotten smaller. We might say that the hair has grown. Some of it has fallen out. Some of it has come back. Some of it is changing color. The features of the face and the hands are like sands on the ocean, being etched into slightly different shapes over and over again. And we are told that the body parts inside the body are also aging. Or only think about all the injuries incurred or physical ailments endured or pains suffered over the course of this lifetime. We understand then that the body has been undergoing changes. But can you see the difference? Does I am, the sense of conscious presence, also undergo changes? You know that it doesn't because it can't. How then are we to fit this unified conscious presence into or under or around or through the manifold and constantly changing body. How are we going to square the circle? Indeed, can we? Can we square the circle? Or would it be best for us to call the whole thing off and be open to the possibility that I amness is not identified with, specifically with the physical body? But you also to understand that what we call the mind, which is, indeed is nothing apart from thought, could be said, loosely speaking, to be constantly changing. Just call forth all the different sorts of things you used to think about when you were 5, or might have thought about when you were 5, or the feelings that you may have had at that time. What sorts of thoughts or feelings arose when you were 10? Or 20? And what sorts of thoughts did you have today or yesterday, or in any case, quite recently? Right now, you can just feel how the thoughts and feelings have changed and changed and changed over time. Yet, do you feel the same way about simply being aware, or about simply being presence? In short, about I amness? In fact, you feel no way really about I amness, because when I invite you to look into the matter, you embrace, i.e., remain the same as I amness. There's no room for feeling anything about what you are. I ask you to consider then whether this sense of I amness could somehow be squared with the mind. How is I am supposed to fit together with the mind? Or indeed, how is it really actually meant to identify itself with the mind with thought or feeling. I mean, how could this invisible presence, this all pervasive sense of simply being aware, get pressed into or injected into a thought? How could that even happen? Since the former is invisible and inaudible and, in a sense, content free, while the latter may be imageable if it's a mental image, or audible internally if it's a internal dialogue or internal monologue. But how can the invisible and inaudible somehow take itself to be mentally visible or mentally audible? What kind of magic act is that? What sort of sleight of hand? And yet, when we seem to over and over again identify ourself, I amness, with the body or with the mind, there comes forth suffering. Clinging, aversion, resistance. Right now, then, call forth any especially vivid, perhaps intermittent, albeit ongoing experiences of clinging, aversion, or resistance. What is it, for instance, you can't seem to bear? What is it that you are clasping with talons strenuously onto? What are you squeezing almost to death? What sort of perversely strong dislike or antipathy do you have toward this or toward this one? How a la resistance are you smashing up against some imagined rock or other? Look now and see the nature of your suffering. Do you see what it's like to cling, to dig your nails into this something, to refuse to let go? And do you really see what it's like to push away, to avert your gaze, to taste distaste and repulsion? Can you feel something of that now? And do you know what it is that you're resisting, struggling against, fighting over? Where is there bickering bitterness in your heart? Where is your throat closing up and your chest dearly tightening? Do you know this? Do you know the resistance intimately so? And whatever you're clinging on to, can you allow one digit to relax? Would it be possible just this once to let this thing blow about in the wind, taking its natural course, passing right on by, going its own merry way? Just this once. Can you let fall the obsession? Can you cease dwelling on this, ruminating on that? And if so, what is this understanding of softening like? Oh, well, it's like moving back into I Amness. And just this once, can you allow to come 1 inch forward whatever it is that you have an aversion to? Just 1 inch. Just a small yet earnest peak. Or maybe more, maybe a whole hearted welcoming. Maybe that which you have an aversion to is actually as much the face as the presence of God. What is it like to take a small peek or to welcome a whole lot? It's I amness, conscious presence. It's the I am without all the baggage, the accessories, the accompaniments, the associations, the adjuncts. Just this once, Can you see what you have resisted and open your heart to this? What has seemed unbearable? Could that too be welcomed, opened to, gently gazed upon? As if to say, lo, I am here. May you be here too. And as you go into this understanding, you discover that everything melts into I Amness. That is, I melt into conscious presence. Therefore, I suffer when I go the wrong way, and I cease suffering when, through deep intuitive understanding, I go back the way I came. And when I sit myself down on I am, meaning I become very intimate with the fact that I'm conscious. It's the illumination, cognizance, the truly indescribable fact that in the marvelous fact that I'm aware. I'm just aware. I'm just being aware, not of this or that, not of sights or sounds, or thoughts or feelings, not even of something I would call myself. No, it's far simpler than all that. I'm just aware, gently, fully, immediately aware. And this means too that I'm just simply, immediately presence. I am as light as a feather. Yet unspeakably more substantial. And I can sense too that I am like vibrational energy or pulsating energy. I'm like I'm like the natural rhythm of being. I'm like the simplest melody of I am. So when I mistake my sense of I am for the body, I suffer. And when I do the same thing with the mind, I suffer. And when I remember my sense of being myself, I don't suffer because I can't. I'm just I amness alone. And I have no real idea of having a face, hands, of having a name or a form. No more sense, quote unquote, today than I had 30 years ago. What I notice about this sense of I amness is that it's somewhat unstable. Perhaps it can be said that it tends to forget itself and thereby to allow itself to be covered by the body or the mind. And yet, I amness being like a transit point also points the final step home. Therefore, it quivers in both directions. It can fall downward into forgetfulness, into self forgetfulness, and it can, out of the deepest, gentlest surrender, offer itself back to the source or allow itself to be taken back to its rightful home. It's in this twofold way that I amness is quivering. And what might it mean for us to press in the direction of home? It would mean that manifest consciousness would give itself back to pure, timeless, spaceless awareness. No more than would there be, I know that I am. All that would be lovingly, naturally erased. The knowing, along with the sense of being. And instead, there would only be what there is and always has fundamentally been: pure, boundless, complete awareness. And as presence gives itself up to the source, what can be said about that? The source is pure being or total reality. Being total, it is without beginning and without end. And beyond space. Beyond time and space, it is also beyond causality, and therefore outside of all manifestation. All this is what we mean when we say that it is pure being. That is isness, or what is the same thing, total reality. And now note a remarkable twist. The life force, Shakti, the dynamic principle, the vibrating energy, gives itself up to the source and thereby is understood as fundamental stillness, as immovable peace. As quietness. Or how could this no thingness move or stir or amble? I Amness thus surrenders itself entirely to pure awareness, which is none other than total reality, which is none other than wholeness, unspeakable stillness, abiding peace. I am is no longer I am, or I know that I am, or I know that I exist. It is instead, and this is put into words, yet it is beyond words, the I am that I am. The I am only what I am. When I forget myself, I suffer. When I suffer, I have a pointer telling me to turn back around and to drop all accessories. I discover, in a sense, what I have always known, or what I have known for quite some time, namely, I am, and I know that I am. Any attempt to deny the self-evident nature of I am presupposes I am. Therefore, I trust I amness completely, sink into it fully. And when I inquire into whence, i.e., how I amness even emerged in the first place, I come to the very edge and I hear the whisper beyond all words, the whisper of pure awareness, of total unified reality, of wholeness, which is none other than peace. Hearing this whisper, this beckoning, I remain ever at my post. With hands, so to speak, and heart open.